2024 is a special year. It's the 50-year anniversary for the Volkswagen Golf GTI, but it's also the last year of the manual. The heart and soul of the Volkswagen Golf GTI, the 2-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine, produces 241 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider that the curb weight of the vehicle is about 3,200 pounds, it's quite quick. 0 to 60 time is about 5.9 seconds with the dual-clutch automatic transmission, or depending on how fast you shift with the 6-speed manual. Let's talk about the front-end styling of the 2024 Volkswagen Golf GTI. First thing I noticed is the LED headlight that kind of remind me of a BMW. At the center of the vehicle, we have the grille. Red stripe through the middle, definitely makes a statement on the road. Flat Volkswagen logo, which I do think adds the luxury of the vehicle. Below, we have the grille, LED fog lights built into the honeycomb, parking sensors in the front as well. That's enough talk of the front. Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle. Taking a look at the side of the vehicle, the headlight does swoop into the fender. Side marker here, GTI badge on the fender. Side mirror appears to be the same amongst a lot of generations. It doesn't appear that the design has changed all too much anyways. Let's talk about wheels. We have 235/35 R19 Hankook Ventus S1 Evos. Now, driving this for the day, I did notice they do grip plenty, and being that this car isn't that heavy and it's well balanced, I would say they're plenty good for this vehicle. Easy entry and lock on the door handles, foldable mirrors. Also, in the door handle at night, there is an LED light that illuminates, which does help with visibility. Now, when we move towards the back of the vehicle, we see the taillight on the side, Golf logo in there, nice detail. Now, let's talk about the rear taillights. I do like the LEDs, the shape, the design. I think it's very sleek and it does go with the vehicle. And the rear wing definitely gives it that road presence from the side view. Now, let's talk about the rear of the vehicle. We do see dual exhaust tips right off the bat. Rear parking sensors, GTI badge in the center, Volkswagen logo, and your hidden camera is tucked under here. And it also acts as your trunk handle. It's very innovative by Volkswagen. So simple, yet I love it. Very nice. Practicality. Basically a staple in the Volkswagen Golf. As soon as you open the trunk, you have all this room. Right now, that might not seem like much, but if you fold the seats down, you could really fit something large in there. Now, maybe you're going to IKEA, or maybe you want to get curious, see how much you can fit. 19.5 cubic feet of space when the seats are folded up, and 34.5 cubic feet of space when the seats are down. Since it is a hatchback, it does come with this cover to help eliminate some of the road noise you will experience, since there is ventilation in the rear. Hooks for your grocery bags on the sides here. Isofixes on the back of the seats. And to put the seats down, you have to reach over and essentially do one of these, and you can pull them down. Although I could have probably took this off, made it a bit easier for myself. It also has a pass-through as well, just in case you have your skis. Now let's take a closer look into the trunk. Opening the bottom lid, we do see the Base Saver spare tire, and we do have 4 tie-down points if you are hauling something that you don't want moving around. Now, let's talk about the rear of the Volkswagen Golf GTI. First thing we notice is the seats. Now, in the older generations, I believe these were called the Wolfsburg Edition seats. Now, they are nice cloth seats, not necessary to have leather seats, but leather seats are just nicer to keep clean. Now, taking a look at the center armrest, we do see there's spots for 2 cup holders and perhaps a small cup in the center. This also folds down if you want to pass through maybe some lumber or your skis. Behind the seats, we have not one, not two, but 3 pockets on each seat. At the center here, we have 2 vents, a small storage cubby, which I don't think we could use that for anything really. And just below that, we do have 2 USB-C charging ports, which appear to be fast charging. Just above, we have our handle. Hook for your clothing here, just in case you're going on a slightly long trip. Talking about trips, are the seats comfortable? The seats are comfortable to a point. I couldn't see myself going in too long of a trip, but yet again, it's not to say it's not impossible, it's just this wouldn't be my first choice. Let's move to the front of the vehicle now. First thing I noticed right off the bat, there is a lack of buttons. Now, this is mainly for design element, right? You have to change it up in the design world, especially in vehicles. If you're stagnant, it's not good. You always have to be innovative and do stuff different. This Volkswagen Golf is a good example of that. In the center, we only have 4 buttons: assist, climate, menu, mode. Now, you will get used to this. On the left-hand side here, we do have climate modes here that you would use regularly, like your front windshield defrost and your rear window defrost. They're clearly labeled here. As soon as you press a climate button, you have all the buttons that you normally use. As I said, again, it's until you get used to it. But other than that, I do think it's good. Let's take a look at the center console. We'll start with the armrest. Slides forwards and backwards, up, down, definitely nice adjustability. Though this does remind me of the old Volkswagen Golf, though does it really need to be changed? It's already nice, and I think a lot of manufacturers should have more adjustability in their armrests, especially if you're driving, right? You want to be most comfortable. Just below that armrest, we do have a small cubby. You could probably fit some of your cables, stuff you would use not on the regular. Would you really need cables when you have wireless charging? Taking a look at the center directly here, we do have a 12-volt port and a button here. We press it and a smaller cup holder appears. This is great if you have a bigger cup. You don't want to be restricted. Well, place this away and you place your bigger cup here. Definitely a nice feature to have. Taking a look further up here, we do have the electronic park brake, blank button here. Well, guess we'll never know. Moving further up along, we'll see the 6-speed manual gearbox. We'll talk more about this later. Further up, we have the start-stop engine button. Here we have our wireless charging pad and 2 USB-C ports, fast charging. Now, following along with the exterior front grille, the hexagon design flows into the cabin. The GTI is very driver focused. Not only does the center console block off the passenger, the cluster here and everything is pointed towards the driver, giving you that feeling you're in a race car. Let's start off with the infotainment system here. This button that says climate controls your climate control. You have all your options here, fan speed here. This function is not available because you have to turn it on here. Though it is a small feature, I think it would have just been easier to be able to turn it on from here as well as the button. But I understand what they were doing. They want to make it feel like there's buttons, so you have to press it instead of just touching. Haptic touch for your audio, climate as well. We can turn on the radio from this haptic button over here on the left hand side. Pressing the mode, we have Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Custom. But we'll leave it in Sport mode for now. We have only a rear-facing camera in the vehicle, front parking sensors, rear parking sensors. Safety is priority, and it shows with this model. Blind spot assist, rear cross traffic alert, front pre-collision alert, automatic emergency braking, heated seats in the front only. At the vehicle setting, we can control quite a bit of stuff. Here we can adjust the interior lighting depending on what your preference is. You can go to cockpit, eco tips to tell you when you should shift and all that. Personally, I don't like it, but we'll just leave it on. Exterior lights, duration. You could play around with the settings how you want it. Mirrors, headlights, tires. I do like the animation. It's quite interesting. Here we can see our average since start. I've only been idling it, so it is at 32 liters, but this does average about 9 liters, if not a bit less if you are good with the throttle and your shift times. There you go, 9.2 liters. It does fare well being a 2-liter turbocharged engine, though spirited driving does also play a role in your fuel economy as well. And it being a GTI, it just yearns for it. Let's go into the settings. Just more stuff to adjust. Navigation here, and you have your main screen here. Telephone, radio, media, navigation, vehicle, app connect, sound, ambient lights, and help. Let's start with telephone. Basically just your roadside assistance and help, radio or your media, your Bluetooth, navigation, vehicle, we were just here, app connect, your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You can adjust the bass, treble, all that stuff, ambient lights. So yeah, it does have some ambient lighting under here. Let's make it yellow. It does look nice. Now let's take a look at the digital gauge cluster. We have your map here, your driving data here, your kilometers per hour, road signs. Currently here it's posted 20 kilometers per hour, the date and time, and a blank view. Now let's take a look at the steering wheel. Heated steering wheel button on your right hand side, voice activation button up upper left corner. So one thing I did notice, pressing these buttons, it vibrates and it makes it feel like you're clicking something, though you're not clicking anything. Very interesting. Cruise control on your left hand side, lane keep assist, and GTI badge in the center. We can change the view here depending on if you just want navigation. So now we can see what cars are in front of us, and this sport mode. I do like the RPM being in the center. You don't even see the speedometer. Nice feature to have, especially in a car that may be used on the track. Let's go for a drive. Now I have been driving the Golf GTI for the day, and quite honestly, it is fun. Hard to believe the last manual Golf you can buy, GTI, Golf R. For the Enthusiast, it's honestly not very nice, I would say. How are you gonna get that crispy 3 to 4 shift in an auto? Now, since I have been driving this for quite a while now, the seats are snug. I feel very comfortable sitting in them, but after driving it for about an hour non-stop, I did feel a little sore. It is comfortable for daily use, but I wouldn't take this cross country. Also as well, you have to consider that this is a GTI. The suspension is going to be a bit more stiff. Now, it just depends what your preference is. Maybe you don't mind a stiffer suspension, but for me personally, I would much rather have a smooth ride as opposed to a sporty ride. In terms of driving experience, it drives like a sports car, if I must say. It just feels planted to the ground, very responsive. Let's talk about the manual gearbox in the Golf GTI. 6-speed manual, you push down and up for reverse near first gear. Now it does feel good, although in terms of manuals I have experienced better shifting. It is notchy, I won't downplay it, but there is better. Now with the Volkswagen Golf, you do have an option of 2 gearboxes. You have the manual, which I am reviewing today, and you have a dual clutch automatic transmission. But the manual in 2025 will no longer be coming with us. 3 driving modes. It has Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Custom. In Sport mode, I feel as if it does open up the exhaust just ever so slightly. Perhaps there's a valve and it opens it up. It does give it a better tone. Or maybe that could be a speaker. is deceiving, really. But nonetheless, I do like it. In sport mode, when you let off the throttle at a higher RPM, it does crackle just ever so slightly. This is just asking for an exhaust. Now, sitting in the cabin, I must say, I think I have to take back what I said about the button. I know I like having dedicated buttons for things, but this is just much nicer. I'm not very distracted, although there is two pretty large screens here. A 10.5-inch infotainment and then your digital cluster. Well, they are screens and they can get distracting. The cabin doesn't feel overwhelming. Some other manufacturers have a tendency of too much buttons. And then there's some that don't do enough buttons. So I guess everyone's just trying something new. Let's talk about the steering wheel. It has perforated leather at 9'3", which is nice if your hands sweat, especially maybe if you're driving for a long time or if you've taken this to the track, you're holding it, you're gripping it for dear life. It's great. They thought about that. Just below, there's bumps. You rest your palms. Slightly more comfortable. I think it's more of like a design thing, although you can kind of rest your palms on it. It is nice, I would say. Flat bottom steering wheel. Definitely nice if you want to go granny mode or drive like your mom's. Hold it down here. It's up to you. We don't judge. Holding it at 9'3", I do feel connected with the car. Though maybe this is just because this is a front-wheel drive car, and front-wheel drive cars just feel much more fun to drive, in my opinion. Don't want hate in the comments. I've had my fair share of rear-wheel drive cars. I think front-wheel drive cars have their own class. I think they're just as fun. Would I buy a Volkswagen Golf for myself? Nope. Stop. Car heard me. Wants to take me to the Volkswagen dealership. MSRP. The 2024 Volkswagen Golf GTI sells for about $34,800 if you can find it for that price. Most places are selling it for close to $39,000. This particular model is about $39,500. Now, when you take that price, you can buy a lot with $39,500. I think the price tag is fair. Can you find other vehicles that are cheaper? Yes, you can. It just depends what you want. Quite honestly, I just like the look of this car. Nothing more.
If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification. I'll see you in the next one.